Everyone likes a good love story, and in our culture it's especially sentimental love stories that we enjoy. The powerful experience of love at first sight, erotic infatuation with another person, obstacles that have to be overcome in order to take possession of the beloved, and finally that experience of total satisfaction. But there's another kind of love, and that's costly love. This is a kind of love that doesn't necessarily meet all of our needs. It doesn't necessarily fulfill our desires. It doesn't necessarily make any of our wishes come true. Well, the story of Easter is a reminder that God's love is a very costly love. There's nothing particularly sentimental about the powerful love that motivates Jesus in the last days of his ministry. Jesus is rejected by the whole world. He is betrayed and abandoned by his closest friends. At the end of his days, he stands as a man who has nothing to gain and everything to lose by following the way of love. And yet, love leads him to suffering, to execution on a Roman cross, and ultimately into the grave itself. The costly love of Jesus leads him to death. On Holy Saturday, Jesus lies buried beneath the weight of human rejection and beneath the even greater weight of God's love for humankind. Nothing is achieved on Holy Saturday. Nothing is accomplished. Nothing happens. It is a day of silence in heaven and silence in the tomb. And yet, God's great love, the same love that has led Jesus to this point, is still secretly at work, even in the darkness of death itself. Sometimes our own loves feel a lot more like Holy Saturday than like the sentimental love of the movies. Sometimes love does not seem to meet our needs, to satisfy our desires. Sometimes love doesn't make any of our dreams come true. Just think of the unrequited lover, the abandoned spouse, or think of the parent who spends year after year caring for a child with profound disabilities. It seems sometimes that love doesn't accomplish anything, that it doesn't meet our needs, that it doesn't fulfill our desires. And yet, when we experience love like this, it can be an opportunity to identify with Jesus on Holy Saturday. In Romans 6, Paul speaks about being buried with Christ, sharing in his burial, so that we can also share in his resurrection. When our own loves seem to have led us to a place of emptiness and darkness, we can lay down and rest our heads on the pillow of Christ's lifeless body. True love, according to the Easter story, true love isn't sentimental. It's very costly, but it's not cynical either. The good news of Easter is that death doesn't have the last word. The good news of Easter is that God's great love wins in the end. Love does not lie dead forever. On the third day, Jesus, who is rejected by the world, is powerfully and definitively accepted by God. On the third day, Jesus, who has been abandoned, is embraced by God. On the third day, Jesus, who goes to his death unloved and unwanted, is raised up by the life-giving love of God. The good news of Easter for us is that when our own loves seem dead, when our own loves seem to be achieving nothing, we might be there in the tomb with Jesus, and God's powerful love is still secretly at work in our lives, ready to bring new life springing into being on Easter morning. If our own loves this Easter feel a bit like Holy Saturday, if our own loves seem to have led us into dark and dead places, don't forget that even in the silence of the grave, God's great love is secretly at work. The same love that has taken hold of us, it hasn't let us go. It's leading us through the darkness of Holy Saturday towards the great and glorious morning when we rise with Christ on the joy of Easter Day.